So what's going on with BlackBerry stock? I haven't talked about this stock in a while. I was so excited about it before. I was hoping for some massive short squeeze, and of course it didn't play out as of yet. So what am I thinking about it now? Well, first of all, on paper, it sounds really good, but on paper isn't enough to really tell the full story. On paper, they got to deal with Amazon. On paper, they got artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. On paper, they're in 190 million vehicles worldwide, etc., etc. But sometimes this stuff doesn't mean enough. It all boils down to the numbers. And the numbers right now is that BlackBerry, they're not making much money. I think they're still losing money. I think they're still in the negatives. Their revenue has gone down. But let's look towards the future. And the future would appear to be bright for the company based on a lot of their deals and prospects. And obviously the intention of John Chen, the CEO, is to increase their revenue over time. And with these deals in place, that might just happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And that is part of the reason why the stock is just dying out every time it goes up, is because it's all talk right now. Right now, on paper, the company is not making enough money. And that's why the stock's not performing too well. But let's take a look at the chart and see what the charts are saying. Now, I was looking, and it still looks like there could be somewhat of a potential. It's not the clearest, but I was thinking this could still be a cup and handle, big weekly cup and handle, and the handle's just getting bigger. But if you notice, past couple weeks, we haven't been declining. Thus far, we're holding last week's low as a support, and last week held the previous week's low as a support. So we're getting higher lows on the weekly, which is a good sign. But at the same time, this could end up being a bear flag, which wouldn't be a good thing. And we're trading below that 4-week moving average, which isn't the best sign. Potentially look for it to test the green line, which is the 8-week moving average. You can look to buy around there with a stop loss below last week's low as a support area. Thus far, it's still on a daily downtrend. You had the high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Are we setting our higher low? Did we set our higher low on Friday? And that's the question over here, because the bulls are trying to get this double bottom over here and hold this area as a support. This is a clear support area right now, and the bulls are trying to hold this area as a support. It's a clear support area as shown in the past week. And it's also a clear support area because this is where the stock gapped up several weeks back, and it hasn't filled that gap. Look at this big gap over here. It hasn't filled that gap yet. Now, in the way I look at technical analysis, if it holds above this gap and doesn't fill this gap, that's a good sign. If it fills that gap, I look at that as a sign of weakness. And thus far, it hasn't filled that gap, which is showing strength. The range is getting tighter now. We're getting in a little bit of an equilibrium. You could tell it's declining less. It's still kind of on that downtrend, but it's declining less. The bears seem to be losing steam. The volume is dropping off. But that also means interest is dropping off. But a lot of bears must have went short, and they've probably been covering slowly. But I'm sure there's still a decent size short position on this stock. So earnings already came out. I don't know if there's any catalysts in the very near term. Potentially Facebook lawsuit. They already settled that lawsuit. We're still waiting. Is there going to be any money involved in that lawsuit where Facebook pays BlackBerry any money? I don't know. We haven't found that out yet. Now, when I say, see about the gap over here, we look back, and I'm going to tell you a previous time where this happened, all the way back here. And you could see where big gap up, and this is when the Amazon news went viral and everybody found out BlackBerry's partnering with Amazon. It went up like 50% that day, but it kind of sold off, big profit taking. It consolidated, was looking okay. Earnings came out, bad reaction to earnings. It was brutal. People were not happy. They're like, oh my God, they just partnered with Amazon and the stock is still doing crap. But take a look. See this big gap up? See this big gap, this space over here? It never filled that. So let's take a look. It never filled that gap. It didn't fill it. And that said, hold on. there's strength here. This is showing strength because it's not filling that gap. And what ended up happening is it ended up making a cup and handle, and then it broke out to the upside. And that's what happened in January. Big, huge up move. Are we going to get a similar thing over here? And that's what we're looking at. I ideally want to see the bulls hold this area, don't fill this gap. And if they can do that, and it consolidates around here a little bit longer, we could potentially see a push back to the upside. We're getting lower highs every week thus far, but now we're starting to get those higher lows, which could be a good sign in the short term. There's no clear signals to buy yet, but what you could do is you could buy around here and you set your stop loss around the gap fill or at this low or this low if you want to be extra cautious, so that you have a position. And if it does hold this area as a support, you can capitalize on potentially a lot of upside. And if it doesn't, then you exit your trade with a small loss. This is not financial advice. That's just my thoughts. These are different strategies that you can use in the market. Okay, so those are some of the main signs that I'm looking at on the chart. And let me take note because I want to show you that gap fill thing one more time before I end this video. And this is something I discovered myself. A lot of my strategies I discovered myself, and just through years of reading charts and practice and learning. And you can learn a lot more in my course, and I'm always adding more to my course. So much information in there. Let's take a look at AMC. AMC, look at this. See this big gap up right here? That was a day. It went up like 300%. It closed at like 7. It opened at like 20. Huge gap up. Take a look. It never filled that gap. It was by pennies. It did it, but it didn't fill it. Let's take a look close. The high of this day was $5.19, and the lowest it hit was $5.26. It didn't fill that gap. It consolidated around this area. Everyone thought the stock was dead, but guess what? It held that area. Somebody was loading up slowly so that people don't notice. And look at that beautiful uptrend. Went up a lot, tripled your money right here, pulled back. People thought it was dead again. Then it formed a different pattern. Something along these lines. And then you see what happened there. A lot of money happened. A lot of money making happen. You want to make a lot of money, charts work. And if you learn this stuff, it can most definitely help a lot with your trades and making good decisions. There's different ways to do things. You either read these charts, and if you're good at reading charts and you don't act impulsively, okay, and you're patient and you wait for the opportunities to come to you, you can make a ton of money. Okay? Or you can just hop on the trend, whatever's hot, and hope you make money, and you just go with your feeling. And sometimes that works too. And sometimes you will make a lot of money just going with your feeling. You could throw all the charts out the window, and you could say, you know what? AMC is hot. I'm buying AMC. I don't care. I'm holding on for dear life. And a lot of people just did that. They didn't know nothing about charts, and they still made money. But if you knew the charts, you wouldn't have had to sit through all of this. You would have just said right there, right on the break of that triangle that I drew before, and you said, oh, that's time to enter. Higher low right here. Okay, time to enter. Volume spike up here. Time to exit. And you could have played it out with the charts. Okay, so thanks for watching again. I'll drop more videos soon. Have a nice night, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, follow my Instagram. Check out my course. My course will go on sale for back to school in September. So if you don't want to drop that much money on it, I'm telling you the sale is coming. I don't care. I will forfeit my sales for the next 2 months because I don't want somebody to buy it and then be mad that it goes on sale. I'm telling you beforehand. So, but hey, you know what? If you do buy it now, you're going to learn earlier. And, whatever you would have saved on the sale, maybe you would have made more in profits with what you learned in my course. So keep that in mind. I'm not promising that you're going to make money with my course. I do think it's going to educate you a lot. If you like my YouTube videos, I think you'll like my course. We'll just leave it at that. Thanks for watching, guys. This is not financial advice. Have a nice night. We'll talk soon.